let me quickly check the format. Again, you guys need to assign this owner. Okay, so somebody copy and pasted it. I didn't change the name. Okay. So, here is the thing, right? Here you put as ready false. That means this is not ready yet. Okay, you need to be very careful. If it is not ready, then you know you cannot. So make sure you guys do it. Okay, so it should be in ready status. Resolution not a defect. So this is not something with your job to update it. Okay, this is not. It's not a Java tester to update the resolution because resolution is done by the developer, not by the tester. Okay, so you can practice this. You know, you can keep on practicing. Okay, so until you make sure you don't get addicted to the tool. The tool will not, you don't want to like stick on the tool because tool keep on changing. So today we have rally, tomorrow you have something else. The client page you might use something else altogether, like a pay or Ethereum, peer quest or peer case. Okay, or completely different tool like ticket management tool, sometimes like BMC ticket management tool. We don't know. Okay, so just understand the process, like how we actually do. Okay, so let's quickly. I just quickly show you. Okay, so everyone can hear me, right? Everyone can hear and see the screen. I didn't get any response. That's what that's okay, so we'll just quickly go through SharePoint access. So today I'll be giving you access to SharePoint and as well as access to the Google Drive. Okay, by today, so this is like SharePoint. It's not exactly SharePoint, but uh, in real time you'll be like working on something like this. So once you have this access, right, you will be you have these various projects here. So just various projects. So I create one more project today. Okay. And once you have this project, okay, so you have this all the options. So what you're supposed to do is like you go to this, you go to the files, you know, and upload your file. Okay, that will be test plan. Okay, so we go to this today test plan. Okay, so we'll go at completely detail. Okay. So we need to go through it. So I'm not going to explain like about this, like how to use this. This is your job. Okay, that's your homework. You need to figure it out. So I'll give you the access for this. And so once you get this access, you need to figure it out yourself. You know how to upload. So normally just click on these files and click on and upload this. Okay, it's that simple. So, so that's about the SharePoint. Let's go to the rest of these documents. Okay, so let's go to the various documents. So yeah, somebody asked it, what is the use of the SharePoint? Okay, so okay, so here's the thing, right? You are preparing some documents, right? You will be having some documents. Any documents like test cases. Okay, test cases we'll be doing in Rally. You will not worry about that. Okay, and there is something called like test plan, and test plan is something prepared by the lead. Okay, so QA lead. Okay, once the document is prepared, or let's say, let's not worry even about this test plan. We'll worry about BRD, business record. So you need to have requirements before testing, right? You need to know, you need to write the test cases. Okay, so when you're trying to write the test cases, you need to have this requirement, it is required document, so based on that you'll be writing. But you don't have this requirement document. How will you get something? Someone has to put the document somewhere, right? So it should be in somewhere like online, most of the time it will be online. So that's the reason you need this SharePoint. SharePoint is like, sharing among the teams. You have team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4, and the team 1 is located in somewhere in California, and team 2 is located in, New Jersey, or team 3 is located in Illinois. So it's pretty far, right? You cannot come over there. So that's the reason you need this SharePoint. They put the documents in the online, and you can download right from there. That's the use of this SharePoint. Okay. So, any questions you asked? And can we upload from Rally? No. So this is nothing to do with the Rally. Rally is a test management tool, and SharePoint is kind of like sharing, sharing documents among the teams. Nothing to do with Rally. Okay. Although, yeah, I mean, I could guess that you might use also, for you also may also have this option, to upload those documents. Okay. So when you're trying to remove all these documents, right? Yeah, you can do it in the Rally tool, because you have this attachment section. Okay. So yeah, you can do that. In Rally, you can do that. But I mean, if people are not aware of that, they'll be using separate, okay, SharePoint. Okay. So yeah, to answer your question, right? You can do through Rally, but normally it's not done. Okay. Any more questions? go to each, each and every documents, various documents here. So let's go to the first BRD. So BRD. Okay. Yeah, I mean that is like long issue, and I'm not sure much. Various other issues. So this application has, yeah, some issues. Okay, so just bear with me. Okay. Yeah, I know. Like it has some variations, right? So let's actually open this issue for them, but I don't. It's not yet resolved. Okay. So now I'm just posting it, and you guys will respond later. Okay. Saying that because now already issued this one. It's been like it's been maybe 2 weeks. And they are working on that. Okay. So let's go to the requirement documents. Okay, so there is like BRD, the business required document. Okay, so BRD is a business required document. So what does it contain? So it contains like it contains like various information, like it's 10 to 20% of use cases, and there's business modeling, risk analysis, and budget information. So all this, it's BRD contains all this information. Okay, so let's see uh, how does that BRD looks like. Okay, let's quickly go through this document. Documents. So I'll be giving you access, of this Google Drive, by today. So you can like look into this, and you can get some idea. By the time it loads, you can check. Okay. The business requirement document is like it contains like information about this, uh, you know, requirements, some normally requirements. So this is like difference between functional requirement. So there is like the next thing is the functional required document. This is called FRD. Functional required document contains information about the functionality and features of an application. Not just application, it can be like web application, client application. Okay, so it contains information about that functionality and features of an application. So technically, the two are different things, BRD and FRD. But if you are taking it in general, like you can take it as both requirement docs. So both are requirement docs. So to start your test cases, to start your testing, okay, not not testing. Okay, at least to start your test cases, you at least need BRD. Let's say, so we have written test cases, right? We have written test cases. We were actually lucky because we had this application ready, but real time you don't have this application ready every time. No, you cannot expect that application is ready and based on that you cannot write test cases. You have to write test cases based on this requirement. So let's say this is a requirement document. Okay. So I hope everyone can see this. Okay. So this is the requirement document and this is BRD. Okay. And this contains information about this, see this BRD is prepared by this product owner or business analyst. Okay. So it contains a lot of information. So not necessary you will understand everything in this. See, there are so many things because this BRD goes through project manager, scrum master, and the manager, and testers, architects, developers, QA architects, developers, developer architects, all those people. So it gets everyone. Okay, a whole in the team who is working on application, who is working on the back end. Okay, the application also has the back end, right? So everyone gets it. So the information may not be so easily, understood because there are a lot of information they put for everyone. Okay, so you need to get some information from this. So let's say if this is document, right? As a tester, you may not need to know everything in this. See, just like it's underlined here, right? So maybe you want to just underline and you want to see which information is related to testing perspective. You don't want to read whole document and you may not understand to start with. Nobody understands because not necessary everything is there for testing because we do only testing, not developing or not architect or not something else, right? So that's why you need to only get the gist of this information. So what we are looking for, we'll just see this. So just like underline, right? We see this underline. So you want to see which one is is important as a testing perspective and 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 start writing test cases based on that. So this is like BRD, okay, business record document. So let's go to the next FRD, functional record document. So let's what is FRD? FRD is functional record document which contains functionality and features of an application. Okay, so FRD is normally like functional features, right? So it will be like front end application. Okay, so let's quickly check one FRD here. So this is okay. So this is like FRD. You have this information here, and then this index where what is the requirement and the version. Okay, so this is what functional requirement starts here. So let's say this is a functional requirement. Okay, and you have all these fields. Okay, you see these fields. Okay, these fields you can compare with our application. Let's see how we had this so it's not this requirement is not for this one, but I'm just trying to compare it. Okay, so let's say when you fill this application, okay, you have this name, address, city, the same thing, right? So this also has the same thing. You see this first name, last name, address, city. So they're trying to say is like the developer codes this to the field value and what is the field is. You see this hard code. So we need to test this field values, field as well as the static text. Sometimes you want to also do the static text. So you need to also test that. Okay. So this is like functional, very small FRD, very small project, and this is for the backend people like who want to design a SQL query. So they have this, SQL query. And once the developer runs his scripts, okay, the batch script and SQL, it gets executed, and in the backend, this is for the more backend. This design goal is more for the backend, and this is for the functional front end feature. Okay, so this is made in sense for the developer. So as a tester perspective, we will be only viewing this. Okay, first name, yes. Do we have this first name? Yeah, we have this name. Okay. So and then we have last name. Okay. Address. Do we have address? We have this address. Okay. So it's like that. Okay. So we don't like we only want to see the information which is related to as per the tester perspective. Okay. As per the tester perspective, we want to see this information. We don't want to know whole information because a lot of things is there here, right? It's for developer too. Okay, developer also have to understand that. Okay, so that's why these documents are all prepared in respect to the developer point of view, not as a tester point of view. Okay, so you need to only understand what is required for a testing perspective. Okay, that is FRD. Let's go to the next one. So we have this specific requirement specification, that is SRS. SRS. System system required specification document. Let's quickly check that. So it contains information, right? It contains like information about the architecture and also like information related to like what is the software and what is the hardware information. Okay, so architecture information. So this is more for an architecture point of view. You is the before developer, right? Architect has to design all this. So for them it is more useful. Okay, they have to see like how this should work. What is the hardware transactions is happening? What is the software transaction? How many how many server will be using? So all those things. Okay, architect level. So this is all information related to architect people. So we don't have this access to this much of time, but yeah, of course, if you require this, yeah, you have to get this information. Okay. What is SRS? So it contains information about the architecture, okay, and also contains information about the software and hardware. Okay, that is SRS. System required specifications. Okay, next one. So next we have this PDM. Let's go to PDM. This is physical data model. Okay, so physical data model contains physical data model contains information about these tables. Okay, so it's not exactly as ER diagram. So there is also called like ER, entity relationship diagram, but it is like it contains some information on that, like how the table should be. What is the primary key, what is the candidate key. Okay, so all this information contains in the okay. So PDM. So let's quickly check if there is available in online. Okay, so yeah, so I'll be giving you good. So I'll be giving you, okay, so good recording. So yeah, I know. I mean, like, it might be an internet issue or like, might be slow. Okay. So, I'll be giving you good recording by the end of this class. Okay. Okay. So this is, this is like PDM. This is like physical data model. It contains information. See, it contains information about this database. Okay. It contains about like um, so what are the database and where the candidate key, actually with the primary key, where is primary key. So all this information. So ER diagram is completely different. Like, this is nothing to do with the ER entity relationship diagram. Okay. But it contains information about the various tables. Okay. What are the tables and all these things it contains in this PDM, physical data model. So it contains information. So this is more for you need for a database administrator, right? Administrator requires this kind of information so that so they can look into it and see what's with the modeling, how to design this modeling and all those things. Okay, so this is also like part of the architect. Okay, so this is also part of the architect where we have this information. Okay, so then you also have this LDM. It's like logical data modeling. Let's quickly check. Okay, so logical information is like similar to PDM, but it contains information about the views. Okay, normally the views. Okay, so whatever like information about the views, this it contains. So it's also like similar to PDM, physical data modeling, but this is logical data modeling. It contains information about the logical entities. Okay, logical entities such as views. Okay, this is similar. Okay, then you have this HLD. HLD is like high level design. Okay, so high level design is something like, right, um, let's say like call flows. Let's say it's a call flows. Okay, let's take an example here. Okay, so let's say you're calling some customer care. Let's say you're calling customer care, but when you call the customer care, there is like IVR, right, interactive voice response. So there is a call flow. So directly no customer lifts up the phone, right? First you go through that process, right? You have to go through this IVR, interactive voice response. Okay, so in this IVR, what happens? So you need to go step by step because sometimes, right, when you're trying to see, let's say you're trying to make a payment. When you're trying to make a payment, you are always not required to go through this customer care, right? You can just pay through IVR. Okay, those are called like call flows. When you want to do that, so there is a document for that to design that flow. Okay, so that's called call flows. Okay, that's a design, a completely different design. Okay, so what let's say you're if there is information like let's say you're giving some information about your like, date of birth. Okay, then it moves to the next step. If you're giving wrong information, then it goes to the next step. So all those, right, so that is called call flows. Okay, so that is an example of this high level design. So that's I'm saying just an example. Okay, so call flows for the IVR, interactive voice response. Okay, so for that reason, these like high level design documents. So those are called like high level design. I mean, that's an example. That's not only that. There are other high level design documents based on the whatever the requirements. Okay. So next one, TDD. So TD is technical design document. So technical design document, let's say you are like, running jobs. Okay. So you have this autosys. Okay. You have this, this autosys, right? It's a job scheduling tool. And you are trying to, all the documents, see, sometimes, okay, somebody asked, right? So, does the client provides all these documents? Sometimes we may require this, all the documents, sometimes we may not. Okay. If we require, we need to request. See, nobody will provide you. Okay, everything will be there, of course. It will be there in the either SharePoint, or you need to request access for this. Okay, you need to either request access, or talk to your manager. You need to talk to your lead. The lead is not available, directly talk to your manager. Okay, tell them like, you need access to this. Then only you get this. Okay, nobody is giving you just like that. Okay, no, because nobody knows. You have to know what is about. What is what and what is not. Okay, so for particular job, okay, you may require these documents. For some job, you may not. So these documents like PDM, HLD, NTDD, STM, those are for ETL point of view. So if you are going as a functional, so you may not always require that kind of documents. As a QA, you may not always require. Okay, it's not necessary you need all those things. Okay, but as a ETL tester, of course, you might require. Sometimes client has that information, sometimes they don't. You need to check with your lead or check with your business analyst saying that, hey, do you guys provide a requirement? Do you guys provide functional? I just want to cross check my application. Do you guys provide that? You need to check with them. Okay. If they say yes, then it will be in a SharePoint. Okay, SharePoint where but then you may not have access to access the document. You need to request it. Okay, so this is like convoluted process when you go through for each and every thing. Okay, you need to follow the procedure. Okay, so TDD is a technical design document which contains information about the jobs. Okay, let's say you have this autosys job and you want to schedule jobs, right? Let's say you're pulling all the data from the source and putting in the target. You use some jobs, right? Third party too, it's like autosys. Okay, so in that case, there are many jobs that is like independent jobs and dependent jobs. Okay, so all this information contains in the TDD, technical design document. Okay, so we have this TDD. Just quickly check this. So this is like TDD. Not exactly this information, but yeah, you having this like, sometimes state diagram too. You have this diagram which how do you need to first proceed with this, let's move on to this, so on. All this information will be there in this TDD. Okay, then you have this STM, source to target mapping document. Okay, source to target mapping. So that's simply called as mapping document. Mapping document. Let's check this one. Okay. So let's say this is a mapping document. Okay, so this is a mapping document. So what is a mapping document? It contains information about the source and target information. So all the things related to the source and as well as the target. Okay. So you have this BDW. So BDW is like business data warehouse. So you have the EDW and BDW. BDW is business data warehouse. EDW is enterprise data warehouse. Okay. So Okay, all the information about the source and target will be there. Okay, so here you will start with column. So like you have this column information. So what is the column? And you have this data type. What is the data type for this column? And is it PK? PK is primary key. Is it a primary key? So, these are so many primary key. Then it becomes a composite primary key. There is also something called composite primary key. Okay, and this is all about the target. Then you have the source, source field name, source data type, mapping rule. Sometimes, see, most of the times you will be applying transformation logic for the target. Okay, so in this case, sometimes we will also having for the source. Normally we don't apply for the source because the reason we put like source, staging and target. So staging, is still reasonable to apply this transformation logic, but sometimes people just want to put for the source. Okay, so maybe they want to continue with that. So okay, so that's you have this source to BDW mapping rule. That means source to business data warehouse mapping. Okay, so this is like mapping document. Okay, so let's next move to the next document. Okay, so let's move to the test plan. So test plan, what is the test plan? Test plan is a high level document which contains information about this, about testing, like how do we need to proceed with that. Okay, so let's quickly check those documents. Test plan. So this is the template. Okay. So it contains information about how do we need to proceed with testing, what are the functionality features, what are the information what we are going to test it. Okay. So this is what I'll be giving you homework today. Okay, so you need to update information in this. Okay, so here see this, they will be having this all this information like compatibility testing, what is the functional testing, where how are we going to proceed with functional testing, and what are its subheadings, like what are the risks, what are the items that we are going to test, what are not to test, test approach. Okay, test pass fail criteria, test deliverables, test grids, and so on. So all this information will be there in the test plan. Okay, and it's prepared by the QLE. Okay, so test plan is a high level document which is which is prepared by the QLE. Let's move to the next one. Test strategy documents. So this is also similar to test plan, but it contains all the information about the testing strategy perspective. So it contains like information like about. So normally this test plan and test strategy is not same. Technically, it's not same because plan is like how are you going to plan. Strategy is something like how are you going to proceed with this. Okay, if there is an issue, how are you going to use the strategy to move in a different way. So that's called strategy. Okay, so technically those two are different, but in if it's in client case, like sometimes they say the same thing, test strategy and test plan, they call it as same. So go with the flow. Okay, so you don't argue with them like test plan is different, test strategy. Okay, so go with the flow, and that okay, you can proceed with that. Test case. Test cases, we have written test cases. So test case is a document which contains information about the step, it contains about like, testing, okay, and step, we have this actual result, okay, actual result and expected result, okay, actual result, expected result, pass fail criteria and any comments, okay. So, give me a second. Okay. So, let's be a little bit more specific on this test case. Okay. So, test case, what it contains? It contains like test case ID. It contains like objective, steps to perform, expected result, pass, fail, and comment. So, all this information is contained in this test cases. Okay. Normally, we only have these two blocks, right? We only write two blocks. That is expected result, expected, and what is actual. Okay. The only two. But now, as the document is concerned, we have this, you know, objective, steps to perform, expected result, pass, fail, and comment. That's about the test case. And you have this migration document. Okay. So this migration document is, sometimes let's say you're trying to migrate from one, let's say you're using some like, Teradata. You're using a Teradata database. Okay. So you want to migrate that into Oracle database. So you need a migration document. Because why do you need a migration document? Because the reason, right, this Teradata contains different SQL queries. So how do we need to proceed with that? Okay. So all this information. Okay. But again, the Oracle contains a different info, different SQL queries, and how the data is being handled, because the data cannot be moved just like that, because the way it is stored in Teradata is completely different in it is stored in the Oracle. So all this information, how the you're going to migrate that from one database to another database. So all this will be contained in the migration document. So that's about migration document. Any questions? Any questions on all the documents? So I'll be giving you access to this. We'll be having this. Okay. So we'll go to this number 4. We have all this information and all this various documents. Okay. Okay. So let's go to the SDLC process. Okay. Let's quickly check the SDLC. Okay. So we'll little bit discuss about the SDLC. So SDLC is like software development lifecycle. Okay. So whenever you go into a project, right, you need to follow some procedures, some process, like so although this SDLC is nothing to do with your testing or testing tools, or it's nothing to do with that. It's a, like procedure, like normally you need to follow some process, right? When you go to the company, you need to follow their rules and you need to know the regulations. So this is something which how to develop an application, how are you going to move after that, once it's developed, then you have to move for the testing, all this process. So it's a framework. Okay. So what is SDLC? It's a framework that is performed for each software development project. Okay. So it's a framework. Let's quickly check this. Okay. So SDLC, right? It contains. So there is like for SDLC, there's like 10 phases. So you have just 10 phases. If you want, like you can go through this all these 10 phases. Okay. So we'll just stick to only this, 5 stages. Like we have this 3 plus 3, 6. We'll just stick to 6 phases. Okay. So let's go one by one. Okay. So first phase is like requirements. So in this, all the requirements will be so business analyst or product owner gathers all the requirements and puts all the requirements into one, and um, and we'll be having meetings saying that okay, so these are the requirements, and we need to follow that requirements. Based on that, you need to develop an application. Okay, you need to test on this based on the this requirements. Okay, and the design. So in the design phase, we design the application. Okay, so this is more from architecture point of view. The architect designs the application. This is how the application should be and how the application should move. Okay, so this is the phase for the architect. Implementation is where actually developer implements the code, writes the code, and checks in the code into dev environment, and again moves the code into test environment. Okay, so this is where implementation happens. Okay, so then it goes to the next stage, that is test. So test, we'll start testing this in this phase, and we'll be executing all the test cases whatever we have written in the test phase. Installation, this is something which is done by the middleware team, who actually move the code from the test environment to the production environment, and make sure the production environment is deployed in the production environment. And then maintenance is more of a once it goes the code into production, okay, you need to maintain that, right? You need to make sure there is no defects in the production. Okay, so that's the reason you need to maintain it. Okay, so a quick question in this. So can anyone tell, like, where, as a tester, as a QA, where our job starts from? Can anyone say, like, as a tester, as a QA, as a QA analyst, where our job starts from? Okay, so you guys are saying, like, the test phase. So you're saying, like, all these phase. So will the tester will be idle all these three phases? So if our job starts from test, so are we going to be idle on all the three phases? So do you think the client pays, for being idle? Okay. So our job starts right from the requirement phase. Okay. Our job starts from the requirement phase. So whenever there is a requirement, okay. So as a tester, as a lead, let's say lead. So leads more important for the lead. So we'll be having this meeting with the business analysts. Okay. So these are the requirements. Okay, this is how we need to look into the requirements and see which environment is available. Let's say a QA environment. Let's say you have like 3 to 4 environments in QA. Okay, so let's say all is blocked. Everyone are testing this. You don't have environment there to test. So you need to come up with issues there. Okay, so because there will be an issue, you cannot move with this. So how are you going to proceed with that? Okay, so all these things are discussed in the requirement stage. Okay, so here, our testing, as a tester, we will be asking questions because, we don't have this environment available. So how are you going to proceed? Okay, so or is there any other issues like, developer? If there's any developer issues, then you need to, put here in the requirements stage. So, you need to come up with issues right from the requirements. Then in the design phase, let's say they have designed it, and we'll be writing documents, right? We have this test plan document, test strategy document, okay, test cases, okay. All these documents we need to write. We need to refer BRD document. So in these documents, we'll be working on test plan and test strategy document. Okay. So let's say in the implementation. So in the implementation phase, we'll be writing test cases. Let's say we didn't have enough time to complete that test cases, we'll be writing test cases in implementation. And then in the test environment, we will be testing that application. Okay. So all these phases will be using it. Just will not be sitting idle. Okay. We will be working in all these stages. Okay. In the installation phase, of course, we'll be coordinating with the middleware team, or or if there's another team, we'll be working with that to make sure that code is deployed in the production phase. Okay, when it goes to production, it will make sure that um, and then maintenance. In the maintenance phase, normally this is for the lead or senior QA. Senior QA, who is actually working on that, will be looking into this. If there are any maintenance issues, like sometimes there are production issues or maintenance issues, in that time you'll be QA will be working. So as a QA tester or as a QA lead, all these phases will be working from right from requirements to the end of maintenance. So we don't just do those only tests. Okay, because there will be issues right from the requirements phase. Okay, any questions in this? So this is called SDLC or waterfall model. So why it's called waterfall? Because it's one way, right? If you found any issues, you need to go back again to the requirements. Okay? There is no, you cannot move to the next stage, and you cannot do that. So you need to go from the requirement phase and come back. So that's the waterfall method. Only one way. Okay, so just like how the waterfalls, right? Only one way. There is no two way. So this is also SDLC. This waterfall methodology is derived from the SDLC. Okay, so this is also a part of the SDLC. And there is also advantages and disadvantages of waterfall. Okay, so advantages are when you want to, the most important waterfall methodology is where you want to consider quality is more important than cost. Okay, when you want to see that quality is delivering to the quality product is being delivered to the customers, then you use waterfall. Okay, so that is more major advantage so far. Okay, and it's easy to understand. Okay, so all these things. Okay, and also requirement stability. That's good because in agile, you don't have requirement stability. Anyone can change the requirements. Suddenly they get next release, it's being changed. Okay, so this is the major advantage where you want quality is more important than cost. Okay, that's the advantage of the waterfall. But in agile, it's other way. If you want, cost is more important than quality. Okay, that's the other way for the agile. Okay. So let's quickly go to this V-shaped SDLC. So okay, any questions so far? SDLC waterfall methodology. So in V-shaped, right? So it's similar to SDLC, but we are doing in parallel, both things like let's say you are doing requirements here and your production operation is doing by parallel. Maybe you're like working in the two projects. Okay, let's say you are working two projects and you're working simultaneously too. So this is called V-shaped SDLC. Okay, so the same thing, you'll be having the same requirements, design, implementation, test, installation, and maintenance. The same thing. This is organized in a different way. Okay, so that's called V-shaped SDLC. So it has its own advantages and disadvantages. You can go through this, slide, which will be, having this shade, right? Okay. We also have this incremental SDLC model where this is like SDLC, but it's incremental SDLC. That means you also do the verification and validation. Okay, so you'll be doing this, verification and validation. in this part. Okay, so that is incremental SDLC model. Next, you have this spiral SDLC. Okay, so the spiral SDLC, this is again same. The plan, your plan, requirement, design, develop. So all these are same, but this is organized in the 4 different quadrants. So there's 4 different quadrants where you go, one by one in each quadrant. Okay, and move in the spiral way. So that's called spiral SDLC. Okay, the same thing which is divided into 4 quadrants, and you're moving just spirally. You're just moving spiral. That is called spiral SDLC model. Okay, so this is also like same derived from SDLC. Everything, all these various methodologies are derived from the SDLC except agile. Okay, agile is a little bit different. So we'll go agile in detail tomorrow. I mean Monday. Monday we'll go in detail about this agile. So agile has like 3, right? There are, there are like various, like agile has Scrum, okay, Kanban, extreme programming, okay, and has so many other actually sub. Scrum is more famous than any other method. Any other iterative. It's like an iterative process. Any questions so far in SDLC? Let's quickly go through STLC. Okay, let's go to STLC. So SDLC is more for a developer point of view. Not only developer, everyone uses it. You need to know because it's a process. STLC is more for a testing perspective because software testing lifecycle, right? So what you do in this STLC is like we test plan, we prepare test plan, then you do the test case design and test execution and test log preparation. Okay, test log preparation is something like opening defects, just like opening defects or creating test case. It's like you're preparing some documents, right? You're logging a test, okay, logging a defect or logging in. So that's called test log preparation. Defect tracking, if you open this, you need to track the defect, that's called defect log. And defect test report preparation. So once everything is done, you generate reports. Okay, so that's called test report preparation. So like this has like 5 phases. Okay, test plan preparation, test case design, test execution, and test log preparation, defect tracking, and test report preparation. So this is about STLC. So we know each and every, we have covered this, right? Test plan. So what does the test plan contains? And then the information about it's a high level document, and the QA lead prepares this document and contains information about this test plan, like it's like this pass fail criteria, or like how this resources, how many resources will be leading this, what are the features that will need to be tested, what are the features not to be tested. All this information it has in the STLC. I'm sorry, test plan document. Test case, this is a high level document which is prepared by a QA analyst, and it contains information about like test case ID, objective, steps to perform, expected result, pass, fail, and comment. And then in this test case. And then you have this test execution. The test execution, we have already seen this, right? In the rally. Let's quickly check. So this is like, test case. Let's say you're preparing these test cases. So that's called test cases and execution. Nobody executed here, but you see mine, which I executed. So this is called execution. Okay, so nobody has executed it here. See here, successfully executed all the functional features, and you have this result stored here. Okay, so that's called execution. Okay, so that's called just execution. Then you have this defect tracking. Okay, so this defect tracking can also be done here. So let's say you have opened this defect, right? You have opened like 5 defects, and you need to track. You have this numbers here: 287, 288, 289, 90, 91. So you'll be tracking with this. Okay, this is called defect tracking. Okay, so and test report preparation. So I will like explain you the report preparation. So we have two kinds of reports. Okay, this team level report and project report. Go to this report section, go here report and generate report. So that's called report. So this is life cycle of STLC. So all this information is, so we have discussed about the priority, severity. Any questions? Let's quickly check on bug life cycle. Okay. So bug life cycle. Now, so we have open defects, right? So you see this status. So we are actually talking about the status. Like somebody asked, like other day the question, right? So what is about the status? Okay. So this like open, like open, fix, close, all this information, right? So all this information. Like let's say you open a defect, so it will be new. So as always, you need to make it as open or open status. So once that status changes to open, you need to assign that. Okay, so assign it to developer or architect or respective owner of the defect. And once you assign that, you know now they will be checking on that. Will it be deferred? Okay, deferred in sense it might get in the next release. Let's say they are not fixing that issue in this release, they will be moving into next release. That in that case it goes to a defect, deferred. And if it's rejected, if it's not a defect, it's a feature, then it gets rejected. Okay, let's say it's fixed. Okay, there have to be one more block here, fixed. So let's say if it is fixed, now next it comes back to you to test. You need to test in this phase. So once it gets tested, so let's say that defect is not fixed, then you need to go here and reopen the defect. Okay, reopen the defect, again assign to another developer or another architect, assign it to them. Again, you follow the same process till test. Again, it's verified, and then you close the defect. So as a tester, you will be closing this defect, not a developer. So this is bug life cycle or defect life cycle. Okay, so that's what we have here. State. This is all about, we are talking about all these words about the state of this defect. This is submitted, then open, fixed, and then closed. So that's all about. Any questions so far? So Monday will I'll be giving you introduction on agile. And make sure you guys, like I'm giving you homework, right? So make sure you guys do the certifications. Okay. Any questions? Yes, you need to watch all those videos Even if you don't, uh, you can move the slide. Okay, so let's say if you are good at test, let's say you can write a test, you can attempt the test, and you can move this videos to the next. So you can skip videos. You don't have to watch and skip it. Okay, just press the next button, let it skip, and but you need to write that a test. That test like contains 5 questions, 5 to 6 questions, and you need to pass that test. Okay, so at least 4 out of 5. Okay, so you can get that. Okay, so you don't have to uh, view all those videos. So you can skip it. Okay. I mean, it's up to you. So however you want to do, you have like 2 days like Saturday, Sunday. You can make it happen. You'll be like little bit free, right? And that time you can make it. It's just um, 3 to 4 hours. Okay, sometimes it might take up to 8 hours. Okay, but actually it's like 3 to 4 hours, and you can. It's up to you, like how you want to do it. Any more questions? So if no one has questions, can we close this class for today? Yes, I'll be giving you access to Google Drive today, and also the homework. Okay, thank you guys.